You look so sad, the tears are in your eyes. Come on and come to me now, but don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through, 'cause I've seen the dark side too. And when the night falls on you and you don't know what to do, nothing you confess could make me love you less. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. So if you're mad, get mad. Don't hold it all inside. Come on and talk to me now. And hey, why do you got to hide? I get angry too. Well, I'm a lot like you. When you're standing at the crossroads but don't know which path to choose, let me come along. 'Cause even if you're wrong, I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. And when the night falls on you, baby, you're feeling all alone. You won't be on your own. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you, baby. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you, baby. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you, baby. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you.
Thank you all for being here today. Also to everyone at home joining by live stream. Jeff's parents, Grace and Lee, his sister Marcia, or his brother Ian, were unable to make it here today. His sister Marcia has sent a message on their behalf. Following Marcia's message will be a slideshow prepared by Courtney, Emma, and my sister Susan.
I am Marcia Walton Gilbertson. I'm Jeff's older sister. Jeff has a younger brother, Ian, as well. Unfortunately, due to lots of circumstances these days, we couldn't be in Grand Prairie, so I thought I would put together a bit of a video and give you some highlights of some of Jeff's younger years. So Jeff is the middle born. He's the second of three kids, born to Grace and Lee Walton. They are still alive today. They live in Invermere, BC. We grew up in St. John, New Brunswick. Jeff was 10 years old when we moved to Calgary. So some of our younger years, and all of our younger years, were spent in the Maritimes, doing things as a young family. We did a ton of camping. So we were busy every weekend. My dad was not one to hang around the house. So we were off in our tent or our tent trailer in experiencing the wilderness, which was something that Jeff loved to do. If you go back to when Ian was born, so Jeff is just about 4 years older than Ian. I was asking my mom for some stories. So one of the highlights that she remembers is Ian had a small crib that one of the neighbors had given us. So when he came home, this was his private little spot, was this crib, and Mom would come around the corner and there would be Jeff with the whole neighborhood leaning into the crib like, this is my new brother, come and have a look. And she was amazed that that crib didn't get tipped over from time to time, but that's how Jeff was. He just needed to share everything with everybody he knew. I got a bike when I was 5 or 6. It was a huge bike. It was, someone had passed away and my dad managed to get this bike. So I learned to ride this crazy bike. I don't think I ever sat on the seat. It was a great big bike, but Jeff couldn't have it that I had a bike and he didn't. So Dad went to the dump or someplace and brought home this beat up old bike, little tiny thing. And Jeff just had the freedom like nothing else. Anywhere, anytime anybody had to find Jeff, all they had to do was look out and see if this bike was anywhere within range, and you knew that that's where Jeff was. So as a lot of you might have run into, in our days, we were not shackled down. We had the run of the neighborhood as far as it was daylight. Everybody knew everyone and knew everyone's kids. So as long as everybody else was out in the street, so was Jeff with this crazy little bike that he could. It was still running when he jumped off of it. Jeff. Even in kindergarten, Jeff couldn't be tied down. We had a neighborhood kindergarten, and many times my mom was receiving a phone call from them. Oh, they've gone out for recess and Jeff's nowhere to be found. These days, you'd have the area ambulance out looking for people, but not in those days. You just looked around for that bike, or you just waited for Jeff to wander on back. So that's like I said, he had the run of the neighborhood. One of the other stories that my mom brought up was stacking wood. So my dad was very resourceful. He was always looking for ways to heat the house. We had a fireplace. Anyway, one day Jeff came home and there was a delivery of firewood. So there was all this stacked firewood. So he thought, we're going to deal with this. So he called in the neighbors again, and all these young boys propped up the basement window and threw all this lumber into the basement, and then left it there for my dad to stack. But in the process, they broke the little window, and he was very concerned about the consequences for this broken window. It never ever occurred to him that he was doing something incredibly well by just getting this wood stacked, that they would be able to deal with this window. We moved to Calgary shortly after Expo 67. So that was one of our great road trips. We had cousins in Montreal, so we loaded up the vehicle, and we had a tent trailer by then, and parked it in the backyard of Uncle Charlie's yard. And then he had 4 kids, so we had just amazing week. Every day, away we'd go to the expositions at Expo 67. And every evening we'd be out there catching fireflies and shagging golf balls. They lived right beside a golf course, and really just having a great time with the cousins. And that's one of the things that stands out for all of us. Then we moved to Calgary. So first time we'd gotten on a plane, first time we'd stayed in a hotel, much less the Calgary Inn, like one of the best. So there we were with our crate, our cat that was in a crate, and these Eastern hillbillies staying in downtown Calgary until our furniture got there. So then we got established in Calgary. While we were just getting settled, all my grandparents were in the East, and my mom's dad was not well. So they decided it would be a good idea for us to make a family trip. So we took a month that next summer, and we drove to the Maritimes. A trip of a lifetime that we will always remember. Road trip. We had always had station wagons and larger vehicles, and Dad came home and said, I'm not taking that tent trailer. We're taking the tent, and we're going to take the sedan, and we're driving across, and away we go. And here's 3 kids that didn't see eye to eye on a whole lot in those days, but 3 of us in the back of the car, and a brand new puppy dog. And so this dog was up against the back window, running back and forth, barked at every single car went by. But we saw Canada that year. We stayed at Lake Erie, we stayed on Lake Superior, we drove through one way through Canada, back through the US, and then got to spend the 2 weeks in the Maritimes with our cousins. One highlight that Dad talks about is when we came through the US, we stopped for gas, and so here's Jeff, 10, 11 years old, and this woman had never seen Canadian money before. So she's looking at this saying, like, what do I do with this? And Jeff says, no big deal, it's on par. And it actually wasn't on par. It was worth more than the American money. So it cost my dad a few extra bucks for gas that day. But Jeff spoke with authority that it was par currency and that this woman should be taking it. I did highlight on camping, so we did a fair bit of camping. Of course, my dad was so excited to get us to Calgary and the mountains and the potential for experiencing the outdoors that we were in places like Banff every weekend. And in those days, they didn't have the bear enclosures for garbage, so we camped, I think we were at Two Jack Lake or something like that, and it was raining. So we loaded up our food and went to the picnic shelter and for breakfast, and we were missing something. So Mom sends Jeff back to the trailer, and we waited and it was like peanut butter or something like that. We were waiting on, and finally Dad goes back and is like, what's going on? And here's Jeff kind of plastered to the floor of the tent trailer, and the bear has just ravished our whole campground. Like he couldn't get out. So he held us to that for the rest of our lives, that we put so much stock in this peanut butter that we didn't go back looking for him. You all probably know that Jeff is a mechanic, and he's been a mechanic since he could pick up tools. One thing, my dad likened himself to being a mechanic as well. He took on a lot of tasks, many of them far beyond his reach. And he liked foreign cars. Like my dad had Mercedes and he had Porsche, vehicles like that he bought that needed a lot of work. So, we're not talking mainstream auto manuals here. We're talking some major work. We had a little one-car garage in front of our house. I don't think anybody ever parked in there to keep the car warm. Like there was always parts in there or a vehicle being worked on. And oh God, from when I can remember, my dad would go out there, and he wasn't a real patient man. And he'd go out there and he'd be throwing stuff around looking for tools, saying, Jeff must have taken this tool, Jeff must have taken that tool. And then he'd be working into the night trying to rebuild the motor on this Mercedes of his. And he'd come in the house and he'd be a little exasperated, and Jeff would say, well, I'll have a look at it for you, Dad. And he'd come out and he'd say, Dad, you just can't build it that way. Like, that's not how you put it back together. And he'd spend some time with them, and here this young guy was telling Dad how to be the proper mechanic. And it just went on for years, and he was a mechanic forever and ever. I talked about him hanging around the neighborhood in St. John. Well, in Calgary, it was similar, but we had a neighborhood gas station right on Elbow Drive, and that's where he basically got his training. He just hung out there all the time. So he picked up a lot from those guys. He never did work there, but he kind of cut his teeth on auto mechanics at that time. One thing about being in Calgary that my dad really liked was being able to ski. And we had a family membership at what was Happy Valley at the time, right across from Pascapoo, which is now COP. And we used to have a family pass. We all went out there, and Jeff never wasted any time learning how to ski around moguls or bend his knees, quite frankly. He went straight up and down the hill. And he must have been in lessons or something at Canada Olympic Park, because he participated in an event called Ski for Millions, and it was like Miles for Millions, where you had a sponsor for every run that you did. So he went around the neighborhood, and he worked really hard at getting everybody for Miles to sponsor him in this ski run. And I don't know how many runs he made, but when he went to collect, these people were just mortified at how much money they were expected to hand over. So it was just determined that they should just pay whatever they felt they should. And he still won a set of skis, Dynastar skis, I remember, for being one of the top earners in this event. So that was Jeff's foray into skiing, albeit short. And life went on. I moved west. Jeff moved east for a few years. My parents retired. They moved to Invermere. So when Jeff came back from the east, he moved to Invermere as well. He used to come to my parents. By that time, I was married with kids. We often came to visit. We bring our kids out, and we had friends that came as well. After I heard that Jeff had passed away, I was with my son, Wes, and we were reminiscing and trying to think of some of the old times. And Wes said, there was one story that we were out there and we were with the Poffs. These were their friends of ours. And Jeff showed up in this Jeep that had basically been rebuilt. Like it was like a dune buggy Jeep. And he threw these 4 kids in the vehicle, and away they went down Timber Ridge, 4-wheeling. So there was tennis courts down there and some vacant land, and here was Jeff with these 4 little kids. I'd never heard about that until this story. And then a few days later, I was speaking with my friend Brenda, and she said, we were just talking about Jeff at dinner tonight, and Scott, who had been like 3 years old at the time, was recounting that same story. And Scott was just in his element, and he really looked up to Jeff. He really thought that Jeff was something amazing, that he could be driving vehicles like this. And Scott's gone on to become an adult, and he's a custom woodworker, but he was also and also is a very good hobby mechanic. So that's one of the highlights that these kids will have of their uncle. In Invermere as well, my dad took on a Porsche. That was something that was going to be his hobby. Was he bought a Porsche that nobody else could fix and thought he could, and so he took this on. By then, Jeff had moved to Grand Prairie. That was one of the things that bonded my dad and my brother, was the evening chats about how to fix this stupid Porsche. And it was beyond. But anyway, that's what they talked about every night. My dad would call in exasperation and say, Jeff, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? And they had lots of chats. And sometimes it's something like repairing things that brings you closer together. that's what we're going to miss about Jeff, is his ability to do things like that. And I'd just like to give a message to Courtney and to Emma that remember those things, remember the good points and remember the bad points, but try to move on to things looking at happiness. Happiness is a choice. If you get up in the morning and you choose to be happy, the likelihood is just so much better. So thank you for listening to me, and we're going to miss you, Jeff.
When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Oh, it's rough, and friends just can't be found like a
my fingers through his mane, or I might find out what it's like to ride a drop of rain. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will shed the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. I'm gonna walk with my granddaddy, and he'll match me step for step, and I'll tell him how I've missed him every minute since he left. And then I'll hug his neck. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will shed the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. So much pain and so much darkness in this world we stumble through. All these questions I can't answer, so much work to do. But when I get where I'm going, and I see my Maker's face, I'll stand forever in the light of His amazing grace. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going.
Thank you, Marcia, for your words. It's always nice to hear a sibling side of what life was like in the early years. Jeff was a man of few words, so I will keep this short. I would like to thank Gary for being the best friend anyone could ask for. You have been by Jeff's side since he arrived in Grand Prairie, through the good times and the struggles. During these past 2 weeks, you have also been there for me and the girls more than you realize. For that, we will be forever grateful. Although our marriage didn't last, Jeff's love for his children always did. To this day, I remember the joy on his face when I finally gave in and allowed him to take each of the girls for their first Harley ride. It was a memory I will never forget. Co-parenting is never easy, and I know at times I was as hard on Jeff as I was our girls. Over these last few years, sometimes he would walk away shaking his head and mumbling under his breath because these girls were as stubborn as me. I see it as strong-willed and necessary at times, but we all have our versions. As frustrated as he was with that trait I passed on to them, he knew it was a good one to have in today's world. Each of the girls also have some of their father's traits, good and not so good. They definitely get their patience, creativity, and laid-back demeanor from Jeff. And the not so good, they often operate on their own schedule, at their own pace, which is not always up to my speed. To our girls, Courtney and Emma, I want you to remember your father for the love he was able to give to you. There was nothing more important to him than the two of you. Please remember he is with you always, silently guiding you through the many joys and challenges life will bring you. You decorated his life with happiness more than you will ever know.
All my life was a paper, once plain, pure and white, till you moved with your pen, changing moods now and then, till the balance was right. Then you added some music, every note was in place, and anybody could see all the changes in me by the look on my face. And you decorated my life, created a world dreams are apart, and you decorated my life by painting your love all over my heart. You decorated my life. Like a rhyme with no reason in an unfinished song. There was no harmony, life meant nothing to me until you came along and brought out the colors. What a gentle surprise. Now I'm able to see all the things life can be, shining soft in your eyes. And you decorated my life, created a where dreams are apart, and you decorated my life by painting your love all over my heart. You decorated my life.
Oh, why you look so sad? The tears are in your eyes. Come on and come to me now, but don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through, 'cause I've seen the dark side too. And when the night falls on you and you don't know what to do, nothing you confess could make me love you less. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. So, if you're mad, get mad. Don't hold it all inside. Come on and talk to me now. And hey, why do you got to hide? I get angry too. Well, I'm alive like you. When you're standing at the crossroads but don't know which path to choose, let me come along. 'Cause even if you're wrong, I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. And when the night falls on you, baby, you're feeling all alone. You won't be on your own. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you, baby. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you, baby. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you, baby. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you.
All my life was a paper, once plain, pure and white, till you moved with your pen, changing moods now and then, till the balance was right. Then you added some music. Every note was in place, and anybody could see all the changes in me by the look on my face. And you life. Like a rhyme with no reason in an unfinished song. There was no harmony, life meant nothing to me until you came along and brought out the colors. What a gentle surprise. Now I'm able to see all the things life can be, shining soft in your eyes. And you decorated my life, created a world where dreams are apart. By painting your love